We are live. You wanted to change your background?
No, no, I was gonna do just try to expand the screen a little bit, but
Oh, yeah,
we'll be all right.
that's good. What's going on, everybody? We are officially live from Mobile, Alabama. Reese's Senior Bowl 3 days recap. It's been a journey, man. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. It's been a heck of a week. Been a lot of fun for sure. A lot of players, coaches, a
Yeah,
lot of really great people that we've interacted with online as well. That we've been able to come through here, meet up with, kind of kick it a little bit, and yeah, just been a heck of a week. So everything's winding down and all that. But happy to be here live with you, my man. And yeah, what about you? How's it been for you?
it's been a crazy experience, especially for it being my first time down here. Just like many of us that's been down here today. Shout out to James Boyd, meeting with him, Destin Adams, of course, Rashad McGinnis. My guy Luke came with us as well. So it's just been an awesome, awesome, awesome experience. I met so many people that I thought I would have never met in a million years. Like if you would have told me this 3 years ago, that experience like this would happen, I would say you're flat out crazy. But it's just been an ultimate experience, man. The media breakfast early in the morning, you know how I am. I got to get my coffee, my routine now. So all of those
He's
things,
a coffee fiend.
coffee fiend,
He's a
man, coffee
fiend.
fiend.
Um, but hey, man, now that we're now through day three of practice, everything kind of ended today. Now there's nothing really going on tomorrow. Then we go into the game Saturday. I'm curious to see some of the questions you have for me through my process because I spent a lot of the time evaluating prospects and stuff like that. And if you follow the show, you already know my deal on how we do things. But yeah, I'm just kind of curious.
Oh
So
yeah, for sure. So we've definitely talked to a lot of players throughout these 3 days of the Senior Bowl for sure. But your evaluations has to be one of the most things because you used to play this position, the quarterback position. Your time watching these quarterbacks over the last 3 days has definitely been on and off. But I want to get your personal opinion. Who do you think played the best out of all the quarterbacks?
all right, so this class coming in, obviously, there's not that first round guy that Will Levis kind of bowed out. He's dealing with some injury stuff. He's out in California. And then on top of that, Bryce Young, although Bryce Young did receive an invitation, he also did not come out. So it was kind of like a mixed bag coming into this where I'm like, okay, let's see what we got. So we do have, former TCU guy, Heisman finalist,
Yeah.
Max Duggan was out here. A few other guys, Jake Hayner was out here. Tyson Badger was out here. So, Jaron Hall, BYU, who
Yes.
a lot of people have been really high on
Mm-hmm.
through the process, possibly being that guy that sneaks in, he was out here as well. So I was curious to see a lot of these guys because I thought with Bo Nix going back to school, Cam Ward going back to school, some of these other cats that possibly had, Michael Penix Jr. is another one with him going back to school. I was like, this opens the door for one of these guys to possibly cement themselves, push themselves up into that, second, third round conversation. Because right now, most of these guys are fourth, fifth round guys that are going to go late.
Mm-hmm.
So we watched a lot of play, watched a lot of bad quarterback play.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it was a rough week for the quarterbacks, and there wasn't really anybody that stood out necessarily as like in a good. There was a lot of standing out in a bad way.
Oh yeah.
Um, but as far as the guys that did some good things that I was pleasantly surprised to see was a guy, Tyson Badgett.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think he probably, I'm not saying he played great, but as far as like all the other guys, he had some stuff to show. I think he had the strongest arm out of all the guys. He showed a little bit more touch than some of the other guys did on some of his balls. It was very inconsistent, but the mechanics are there. And I think he's a guy that you could draft. Now, late in the process, Malik Cunningham ended up coming out here, a guy from Louisville, very quick, speedy guy, mostly known for his run game. And I thought he showed some good things on very limited snaps and stuff, especially getting out here day two, I think was the first day that he was even practicing, it was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought he made some pretty good throws as well this week. So, yeah, I don't think a guy really separated themselves. On the flip side, like Max Duggan was the guy to me that had the most to gain and the most to lose. And I thought during practice sessions he really struggled. I know in 11 on 11 drills he had some good moments as so that might be a little positive you can take from that. But as far as any of the guys elevating their stock into jumping into that second, third, day two range, I don't really think anybody did that this week, which is unfortunate. But it's still a long process, man. It's only February, beginning of February. They're still going to have the combine to go through. Still going to have team interviews. Still going to go through meetings with all these teams outside of that. So there's plenty of time to impress some guys, but it was interesting. So, like I said, if I had to pick one guy who to me stood out more in a positive light, I think it was Tyson Badgett. As you know, dude's got a great cadence. Um, I know we were making some jokes about that, but he that's a thing that matters in the NFL, and it's a very minor thing, but that's one thing he did. Like he was very clear, very concise in his calls. Getting up there, making sure he was heard, being able to relay information to your offensive line, being able to relay information to your wide receivers, your running back. All that stuff matters in the league, and I thought he had a good showing with that kind of stuff. And then, of course, like I said, I think he had the biggest arm out of all these guys too. He showed a lot of zip on the ball.
Yeah.
I think some of his touch throws need a little bit of work. He needs some consistency there. But as far as mechanically, he was probably the most sound out of all the quarterbacks.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you on that. And I think Tyson was one of the only QBs that I can say that really made the pre-snap adjustments with the offensive line and the running backs that I've seen out of all the quarterbacks as well. It's just the little things you notice when you look at these quarterbacks from these 3 days of practice. But in all honesty, it was all fun, good work, and everything. But moving forward, for sure, talking about Max Duggan, I think, it's going to take him a while to get there. Of course, he hasn't really played with all of these guys, even though he had his guy Davis out there. But, just talking to him like we did for 2 days during the morning and, on the field, it's just that you can show like how smart he is and how he approaches the game and analyzing himself. I'm pretty sure this won't really say much, but I'm pretty sure when the Senior Bowl game comes, I think he's going to step it up and have a better performance than what he did in these practices.
Yeah, and that's an underrated thing too going into this process, especially in 3 days. Like these guys are learning brand new playbooks. A lot of these guys play in spread systems, so they're not used to playing under center. So that's another adjustment. Taking 7-step drops, having the footwork, like all that stuff's really underrated. I think a lot of guys struggled with that this week, and it showed that the college game hasn't necessarily caught all the way up. You're seeing more college concepts sneak into the NFL, but there's still a struggle when it comes to adjusting to the length of the play calls, the 7-step drops, even 5-step drops. A lot of these guys are 3-step drops out of shotgun and they're getting rid of the ball. That's not always the case, and we saw that this week, and some guys struggle with that. But Max, we had some really good conversations with Max. I know I talked to him for about 5 minutes the other day. We were able to ask him some questions in the presser the day before, so we had multiple conversations with him. He's a very impressive guy. Very well spoken, looks you in the eye, just has that presence about him that, he seems like a very hardworking guy. And he did some good things out there. Like I said, it was a little inconsistent, and I thought he kind of got away from his mechanics a lot, which really made things tough on him this week. But I think the longer you go through this process, the more comfortable you get through this process. And we saw that each day. He has some growth each day. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Saturday rolls around and he looks like the best guy out there. But that was one of his things. We asked him, what's something that you're looking to show out here this week? That maybe people haven't seen whenever you're at TCU, and that's something that he relayed to us is he wants to show that he can handle an NFL playbook, that he can handle checks at the line of scrimmage and all these type of calls like that, and that he can really get through his mechanics and show that he can compete at an NFL level outside of a college system. So that was pretty cool to see from him. And he seems very self-aware with his flaws too, which is always the first step.
Right.
You want to make sure that they're just not hyping themselves up. So he's very self-aware of what he needs to work on. He's very committed to doing that this week. He worked hard. He took everything very seriously. And I'm curious to see what he looks like Saturday for sure.
Absolutely. Shout out to everybody in the comment section. We see you, Sarah. We're gonna get into Riley Moss in a little bit. Shout out to Mike out there. We're talking about his boy Max at the moment. But you mentioned separating themselves out there, and actually standing out. one of these guys happened to be, shout out to Rashad, his favorite wide receiver from the 3 days, Jaden Reed. And I know everyone's seeing his clips on Twitter and everything, but seeing him in person and how he gets open and everything, how much of an impact do you think he can have on an NFL roster moving forward with his ability at his height?
Well, I think obviously the height's one thing that he can't fix,
Yeah.
so that's unfortunate. But he showed a lot this week, man. He really did. He's very hard to get a hold of at the line of scrimmage. And, I mean, the guy just consistently created separation. His hands were phenomenal.
Man.
Everything that was thrown his way, he was catching. Whether he got 2 feet in or not, whether it was out of bounds, which I know, Shad said everything was a touchdown. But you know, you didn't really see him drop many balls, or his ability to track those deep balls, to track those balls at the end zone too, which is at his size to be able to compete in the end zone. This is a tall corner class, man. There's a lot of guys 6', 6'1", 6'2", and for him to go out there and show what he did in the red zone and in the end zone with a lot of these taller guys than him, it really showed his competition and how he carries himself. And he's had a phenomenal week, man. And every time he's lined up against somebody in one-on-one, the quote Shaquille O'Neal, barbecue chicken. Barbecue chicken. So he really separated himself. There's some other guys, of course, we'll talk about in a second that really did as well. But yeah, man, he had a fantastic week, and I'm so excited to see his career. I don't know if he's going to be, a day 2 pick or anything just due to the size, but I think he's firmly he has a shot to do that because of the week that he's had so far in practice. So,
yeah.
I'm curious to see where he steps in the NFL. I'm curious to see whether it's special teams guy, slot receiver. I think he showed this week you can line him up outside too, and he can go get the ball. So we had a good conversation with him today. Actually, we talked to him today, and another really impressive guy. Speak to all these guys. Really,
the coolest guy out there, man. That's what I told him.
Yeah, he was super cool, super fun guy.
Yeah,
I talked to as well. And that's what stood out to me the most really this week is just how well spoken a lot of these guys are. They carry themselves very well, very professional. Look you in the eye, shake your hand, firm handshakes. I mean, it's impressive the guys that they've put together this year in this Senior Bowl, and they all seem to be phenomenal guys. So it's going to be fun to watch this game Saturday.
It's definitely going to be fun, man. I have to go ahead and mention. One of the guys that didn't practice, Puka Nacua, man. His day 2 was definitely it stood out over a few of these guys, but
I think it was day 1.
Day 1.
Yeah, I don't think he practiced yesterday, and he didn't practice today. But day 1,
yeah,
he did practice. Yeah, he had a hell of a day too. He showed out for sure.
And what a guy! But another person. We're going to switch to the defensive side for the national team. We're going to go with Caillou Blue.
Yeah, Blue Kelly, Stanford.
Stanford's very own.
You can tell he went to Stanford.
It was amazing, seeing him from the sideline at first, and he caught that ball, and I was like, what? For some reason, I feel like this guy's about to come in and make an impact. And unfortunately, his first play was against Malik Cunningham, which was his first day, and he mentioned how hard it was to adjust with the players and everything. But Caillou definitely, tall, physical guy that can go out there and have an impact, moving forward. Just to think, besides Caillou Blue Kelly, who is another guy you think on the defensive side you think could be just as good as having an impact moving forward?
Now you're talking like DB wise.
DB wise, yes.
DB wise. Let's look at some names here. I know the national team defense is really impressive.
Really impressive. It's a lot of names down there.
Yeah, there are, man. I think Riley Moss out of Iowa. I think he had some really good stuff as well. He struggled a little bit on day 1, got a little handsy. I know. That's something that he was working on, and I think as the week went on, he was able to take some of that coaching. Kedron Smith, another guy out of Kentucky, he had a really strong week, I think, as well. And I'm trying to find my guy over here.
J.L. Skinner's up there.
That's what I was talking about, J.L. Skinner. So I know this is one of Destin's favorite guys here, but J.L. Skinner, man, I don't know, technique-wise, if he really showed out that much, because he's such a physical guy. He's a physical specimen. This guy's huge.
Yeah.
And he's fast, and he's big, and he really shines, I think, whenever it comes time to lay the wood on someone.
He was going to. We heard that. We heard them equipment smack.
Yeah, exactly. So, maybe practice setting wasn't really necessary or necessarily the best place for him just because you're not laying the lumber. But I think in this game, he could be a guy that I would look forward to seeing and just how physical he is. And like I said, like this, I mean, the size and speed he possesses at that safety position, I think he's what 6'3", 6'4".
6'4".
And yeah, I mean, big dude. So he's very rangy, and I'm curious to see what it looks like in game because he wasn't really able to showcase a lot of that physicality in practice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Before we move into this O line and D line from both sides, we're going to combine them because I feel like that's the best way to do it.
Man, this was a great class.
Great class. We're going to go to the American side for a little bit. And for the American side, I think the American team has the best running group out of all of them.
Yeah.
They got your guy there. They got the guy from Georgia, all these guys, and the TCU guys is on this side as well. But out of the running group, I think your guy for sure is the strongest running back out of all of them on both sides. So go ahead and just talk about him a little bit, and how do you think his physical tools can help him moving forward to the NFL?
Yeah, so Chris Henderson, or Chris Rodriguez Jr., my bad.
Junior.
I saw another name right here. Yeah, Chris Rodriguez Jr. out of Kentucky. He's another guy that, I mean, just physical dude. Never gets tackled by the first guy.
Nope.
Never gets tackled by the first guy. I believe he had over like 700 or 800 snaps in college. He only had 3 plays that went for negative yards, which is that's an insane stat to me.
Just seeing him is insane.
And you could see in the drills, whenever they were doing blocking drills or whenever they were doing, blitz pickup or anything like that, just how physical he is. I know you mentioned to me the other day they were working on some blocking drills, and he was lifting the coach.
Yes.
And none of the other guys could really get that much movement. Whenever he went out there, you really saw just how strong he is. And he runs like that too, and he's great guy to run, man. Super nice kid, and that's not the first time I've had interactions with Chris, just because of the UK thing, and I live in Kentucky and stuff like that, so I'm a little bit closer to that side of the area than maybe most people are, but there's another guy on here out of Tulane that really showed out, and I know I posted some clips on there this morning, but that's Tajay Spears. Tulane. Here.
Oh yeah.
He broke some dude off.
Man, oh my God.
He's been doing that all week, man. So his hands have been phenomenal. The way he hits the hole, like very fast. Like, I mean, I was really, really impressed. And my guy Drew over at the 3 Man Rush podcast.
Shout out to Drew.
He's been on Tajay for quite a little while, and he told me to keep an eye on him whenever I came down here and let him know how he was doing. And I was messaging him all day because all that dude did today was just make plays.
Oh, every time.
So, and, I was constantly texting Drew, and I'm like, man, this dude is a monster. And I think Saturday he's really going to shine for sure because he's just got that special. I mean, like you watch him and you're just like, okay, this guy got like it. Like he never. It's almost like a greased pig. Like whenever you're trying to catch a greased pig, and he just slips through everybody, man. Like he does. He's so hard to bring down, especially in the pass game, man. Like his routes were phenomenal. He was able to get separation constantly. And what he did to some of these defenders out there today, man, like it was some crazy stuff. So I'm super excited to watch him going forward. The Colts don't necessarily need a running back.
Nope.
But if they want a pass catching guy and he happens to be there, like the middle 8 rounds, that's a guy that I would love to see them take a shot on. Unfortunately, Rashawn Johnson, he broke a bone in his hand day 1. So we got to see him for a little bit on day 1. He looked really good as well. But, he ended up going out for the rest of the week and wasn't able to compete, which is unfortunate for him. But he's another guy that I, was really looking forward to seeing. And I know I really like the tape on him. So it'll be curious to see where he got. I think he's like a day 2, like round 2 type of a guy that you can get in the second round and he can come in and make an immediate impact.
Yeah, man. Besides making it medium impact, you talk about route running and, just pretty much embarrassing defenders. 2 other guys we got to mention. Virginia's Dontavion Wicks and Tank Dell from, man, those two dudes, Tavion Wicks. Let's start with him. Like, man, Tavion Wicks is just an insane receiver to watch in person. What he was doing, and he matched up against my guy Jay Ward from LSU. Love you, Jay, but you got cooked, man. You got cooked. Let's talk about the Tavion Wicks. Yeah, you got guy. Let's talk about the Tavion Wicks for 2 seconds, man.
Yeah, well, I'd like to talk in 1 2 seconds. If there was anybody along the skill position tree in this class that showed out this week, it was him. He's been the best wide receiver to me all week long.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a guy too, like he doesn't have the size issue. So 6'1", I believe, over 210.
Mm-hmm.
The guy just constantly created separate. I mean, like there was never a moment where he could not create separation, where he couldn't get off press. His hand fighting was phenomenal. His route running an explosion, the way he was able to get off the line of scrimmage was just unbelievable. And I know there's a highlight play out there. You can probably find it on Twitter. I think it's actually on my Twitter. I posted it where he did a double move on a go route on a guy. And I mean, just absolutely just ate this guy. Like the defender just gave up. He was like, there's nothing I can do about this. And he was right. There's nothing he could do. And like it was that type of stuff consistently. And then you get into the red zone, and he was able to utilize that size as well. So he's a guy that, I would really take a strong look at, especially if the Colts don't re-sign Paris Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to trade that number 1 jersey in for the number 1 jersey of Dontavian Wicks. And, yeah, I mean, like, that guy just showed out all week. So it's pretty awesome to see what he was able to do.
Absolutely. We mentioned the wide receivers group, the running group. Now we got to go against the most important group, which is the tight end group. The tight end group was out there, and Jim Nagy mentioned himself might be one of the deepest groups going into this draft. The tight end group was out there playing phenomenal. We got to mention the guy that had a very impressive day, that had more than 1 touchdown. I believe it was Oregon State's very own at the tight end position, Luke Musgrave. So how do you think the tight end group is, besides what Jim Nagy said? Looking at them in person, how do you think they performed, and how do you think they can move forward? Do you think they have a high drafting spot at all?
Yeah, I think there's a lot. Like, I mean, I don't know if you just got that like perfect round 1 guy. I think Michael Mayer could be that guy. But as far as like how deep this class is, it's a super deep class at tight end. And unfortunately, Dalton Kincaid was a guy I was really looking forward to. He had some injury issues, had to pull out of the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
I love Dalton Kincaid. I think he's a phenomenal tight end that could go, into round 1, like even early round 2. And so I was looking forward to seeing him, unfortunately. But this tight end class that showed out this week, they were great, man. They were some really great players. Luke Musgrave was for sure one of those guys. I know Destin's going to have some stuff coming out on him. I've got an interview with him as well there at the media breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's something, he's another guy, 6'6", pretty, 230 plus, super athletic guy. And his route running is one of his strongest suits. So he's a big route running guy. I think he's going to be a weapon wherever he goes to be used. I know his blocking is something that he's really like taking a passion to and what he's trying to improve the most. But, every time he turned around and they threw to him, he was making plays out there, and that was big for him. So I'm super excied to see him go forward as well. And then there was another tight end.
Payne Door.
Yeah.
Payne Door.
Just had a phenomenal day today. I caught 2 touchdowns in the red zone drills, 11 on 11s, including one. He had one. He went over 2 dudes.
Man.
2 dudes in the end zone. Got both feet down, touchdown, strong hands. And what's cool about Payne Durham is he's already a great blocker.
Right.
So that's not something he has to develop. That's something that he already does, that he's able to, come in day 1 and be that guy. What we wanted to see from him was his athleticism, his hands, his route running. And I think today he really showed a step forward in that. And I think moving forward, that could be a guy that if you told me in 3 or 4 years from now he's the best tight end in this class,
yeah.
I mean, he's got a lot of Jack Doyle in him, man. A lot of Jack Doyle in that guy. So I thought his showing today was extremely impressive.
Extremely impressive, man. And to do all of that at like 6'5" is insane.
Yeah, and that's another dude too. Me and Destin got an interview with him.
Yeah.
And we were able to talk to him for a little bit and kind of some stuff that he wants to work on. I think he's trying to work on more of like to be more of a technician in his route run. So,
Like you
I'm
zoomed
sorry,
in.
we're on the phone here. Oh, yeah, let's do that. Let's just move it.
Yeah.
So he's another guy that I think as he progresses in his route running, his technical ability, he's a guy that can for sure ascend into being a really good role player for a team.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Shout out to Stats Max. Okay, I'm late, but Smith or Mark? I know Smith has been impressive this week, but so far Mark has versatility.
He does. And both these guys, like that's a great question because both these guys showed out for sure this week. They were phenomenal. I think John Michael Smith was probably the best player
Oh
here
yeah, oh
all week
yeah.
long. The guy's just a tank at center. He played mostly center all week long,
Hmm.
and there was never a moment where I saw him lose a rep. Every time the guy was lined up against a defensive lineman edge, like it didn't matter who they put in front of him, he stole on them. And that was something that I loved. So you can even go back to early December. I made a post about John Michael Smith, and I called him a dog, a super dog, a mega dog. Like I called him any way you could think of. He's a dog. So so yeah, it's been cool to see him go to work this week and how he's really carried himself. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get an interview with him. He was pulled mostly from a lot of national
Yeah,
guys.
man.
He was tough to catch up with, uh, I think everything he did on the field this week really showed out more than anything.
Yeah, for sure. Is there any other old lineman besides him that stood out to you that was pretty impressive
Well,
besides himself?
yeah, well, I think Cody Mock's another one, man. He like a lot of these guys really. Dawan Jones had a really strong day one before he went out
Before
with
you went out,
injury,
yeah.
just small concussion symptoms. They just kept him out as a precaution, so nothing major there to worry about. But he had a great day one. Um, like I said, Cody Mock lined up at left guard a lot.
Hmm.
Uh, he was phenomenal as well, and that's something that he really wanted to showcase is like stats Matt was saying was his versatility, and I think he did. He was probably the second best lineman. I think Olu out of Michigan, the center out of Michigan,
Hmm.
had a super strong week as well. A lot of these offensive linemen played really well, and this was a strong interior offensive line class.
Yeah.
So to see what they did going out there, um, I mean, it was everything that I thought it was going to be. And a lot of these guys that I had already been high on were able to just even more so solidify themselves in my eyes as guys that I would love to have. I think possibly even round one, round two guys that they might have a chance early in round two to grab.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's definitely a lot of talent from the Senior Bowl that we've seen and talked to. It was just a very great 3 days, and I hope they all have a very good Saturday. Like our boy Reed said, nothing's better than the victory come on game day. So,
That's right.
so
That's
we're
what,
looking
yeah, because
forward
we
to
asked
that.
him, I was like, what's a successful Senior Bowl week look like to you, after the game Saturday? And the first thing he said was like a win. Like that's all that matters is winning the game. So
Yeah,
it's a great answer from him. It wasn't anything that he was looking for selfishly, but it was something that he was looking for a team victory. And I think that kind of really shows a sneak peek into the kind of teammate he is.
yeah. Besides being the teammate, it's just the whole environment in general. How did you feel about all the practices and the coaching staff and the environment? How energetic and competitive it was. Was you expecting that at all, or was you?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, like that's football, and especially whenever you get a group of guys together, and you're going through the trenches together and you're battling together. Like, yeah, it gets super competitive, but it also gets super fun. And I think the coaching staff, especially on the American side,
Yeah.
they did a phenomenal job. That's Luke Getzey. I
Hmm.
know, they were a lot more lighthearted and guys hooping, hollering, competing,
Yeah.
going out there, doing push-ups. If you lose, the defense did a lot of push-ups this week because the offense
The
got,
offense was
a
tearing them
lot
up.
of Dontavian
Yep,
Wicks
Wicks.
caused a lot of push-ups this week for the defense. And, seeing the camaraderie come together, just a group of guys just going out, having fun, playing ball, being themselves. I thought both coaching staffs did a phenomenal job this week in really preparing these guys, and it was really a group effort from the coaches, and it felt like a real, training camp practice type of setting for these guys, and they did a great job.
Yeah, the coaches did a phenomenal job preparing these guys, which they learned a lot of things moving forward, of how they can help them getting prepared to go to the NFL. It was a good experience. We did mention Kelly earlier, if you wasn't to hear stats, Matt, of his ability of, looking for the ball and those angles that he took when he got on the field. He was playing really, really good for the last 2 days. But before we wrap up out of here, we got to get your thoughts of your experience in Mobile. I know this is your first time. You went to some places to eat. You've seen some environments, seen some famous faces at the arenas. So let me know about your experience
Yeah, it
down
was
here.
pretty cool, man. Everybody was really nice. I got to sit down. We talked with Phil Yates for a little
Yeah,
bit at the ESPN. Super cool guy.
super cool.
Rappaport was out there.
So short,
Sorrow,
very short.
yeah, very short guy. But yeah, super nice guy. Rappaport is. Got to shake his hand for a second and speak with him. Stefania Bell, my girl out there at ESPN, got a photo with her, which is kind of embarrassing to say because I'm not really one to take photos with people, but I've been a fan of hers for such a long time. And she was really cool. A lot of the Draft Network guys were out there. My boy Dane Parsons was there
Yeah.
on the Draft Network. That love that dude for sure. So it was cool catching up with, like I said at the beginning, it was cool catching up with a lot of guys that we've interacted with for so long on social media.
Yeah.
And now we're getting face to face and seeing how just nice and welcoming everyone. And the Tenable Bill too was very welcoming. Everybody was so nice. A lot of great seafood places around here. The Loda Beer Garden.
Yeah, that was good.
Great place to eat at as well. So if you're in Mobile, check them out. Overall, great experience. Loved it. Weather was nice. Got a little burnt. Got a little red.
I didn't like today, but go ahead. Continue.
Yeah, today was a little gloomy, but I think it was one of those things that as the weather's getting nicer as the year like because back up at home for me it's icy, it's like 20 degrees, it's nasty, and then I was talking to Emily, my wife, we were talking about it the other day. I was like, yeah, like it's 75, it's sunny, and I'm sunburned. So she was not happy to hear that. She was a little jealous she didn't get to come down here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was kind of funny to see everybody up at home, complaining about ice and all that. And then here we are.
Can't relate.
Yeah, here we are. I'm burning up yesterday. I was regretting not packing some shorts. So, yeah, but the Tenemobille's been great. Everybody's been so welcoming. A lot of the big national guys were great to talk to. They were so nice and welcoming. You've never known that they weren't anything other than just like me and you talking right here.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what makes this experience special is the networking. We caught up with Colts assistant wide receiver coach Brian Bratton as well.
Yep.
And super chill dude. Hopefully we'll have him on here on Stampede Blue in the near future.
Yeah.
Caught up with some other guys as well. So we might have some special guests coming on from the Colts organization for you guys in the future. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, Mobile was great.
Yeah, man. Mobile was great. Met a lot of good people. For sure, the experiences. I didn't expect to see Mike Tomlin and Eberflus here. Chatting with Eberflus was very awesome.
Yeah, Matt Eberflus, super nice guy. For sure.
Very nice guy.
And he does say he does miss Indianapolis. So a lot of great people still down there. So yeah, it was cool to see him up here and chat with him for a minute.
The last question: if you had the chance to come back down here, would you do it?
Oh yeah, easily.
Yeah.
Like there's no question about it. And really, I think if you are able, even if you're not in the Stampede Blue or on the Blue Stable or any of these other guys that were here down this week with us, even if you're able to just come in here, I think you can buy tickets to watch practice.
Yeah.
And get down here, chance to meet up with some people and stuff. I think if you're passionate about football, if you're passionate about the Senior Bowl and the draft, anything like that, I think this is an experience that everyone should experience at least once. And I'm super grateful that I was able to do that. Obviously, thanks for bringing me on. I was able to get down here credentialed with you guys. But yeah, it's been a blessing for sure. And I can't wait to do it again next year.
I can't wait either. Next year we can probably say what's up to Trent Richardson this time. But it is what it is.
Yeah, T-Rich was down here today,
yeah.
So we ran by him quite a few times.
Yeah, well, for sure. But we appreciate everyone that tuned in tonight for the recap for the Senior Bowl. Please check out the game. It's going to be live Saturday, right?
Yeah, Saturday.
Saturday, this game's going to be live. I'll be tuning in. He'll be tuning in. So you guys enjoy the rest of your night. Please like, comment, subscribe if you had any last words before we get out of here.
Yeah, just keep an eye out. We're going to have a lot more Senior Bowl coverage coming up. This is just kind of an initial sit down here at the dinner table, connect with you guys, let you know our thoughts were for just a quick second, but there's going to be a lot more to talk
Oh yeah.
about our experience down in Mobile. A lot of these players that really impressed that I wasn't necessarily super familiar with. I'm going to be doing more of a deep dive into this. So, that's going to be really cool to see how those guys compare with their film
Mm-hmm.
versus what we saw at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, so you guys stay tuned for that. Please follow Landon on social media. Check me out as well. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't. This is Marcus, that's Landon, and we are out.
See you guys. Thanks.